Okay, so I decided since I've been doing most of my content on my Facebook page, I decided to do a recap of so much of the great shifts that have been happening because we may not feel things really changing, and so it may seem kind of hopeless sometimes for those of us that have been on this ascension path for a very long time. Myself for about 41 years, consciously starting in 1990 really, but beginning the real journey in the underworld in 1983. So we're going to talk about what has been happening really since 2019. We all know that in 2019 we got a and I'm going to try to say things so the video doesn't get banned, but my channel's not that popular. It's mostly for bookkeeping. I mean, I'd love it if it would get popular, but I haven't been posting here much. So it is what it is. So 2019, we got the virus. And what's really interesting to understand is that my sources, the sources that I follow the most clearly, say that this was a choice that came into the mind of God, known as humanity on planet Earth. We had two choices: World War III or COVID. We chose COVID, and we all know we're still dealing with it even now. But during the big crisis with the vaccinations and pro-vaxxers and anti-vaxxers, we transformed tons of energy pattern and enemy patterning, which is what we would have been up against with war. So it was a way of kind of having a lot of transmutation happen. A lot of human beings went home. They went home to the um, the heart. They left. They had to leave their workplaces. Business as usual stopped, right, in 2019, November in China, and then here in March of 2020. So this was our big contract with this virus to deepen our connection to the heart. And I have a song called Deep Times. I think it's on this channel. I'll link that in the description. And that song, Deep Times, was really all about the journey of COVID to birth us into a place of unity consciousness. And we know now with the incredible um, war between Israel and Gaza and all that's going on, that we're still in the throes of moving forward and cleansing and purging. So big events. We're just going to go through the big events. So COVID, big event. Now, I'm not sure if this was December 21st of 2020 or 2021, but we had an alignment between Jupiter, was it Uranus, conjunct. My astrology is not that great, but we had on the solstice, we had a massive opening that occurred, and it reconnected the earth with the God worlds, where what we call first creation God worlds. And it was massively amazing when that portal opened. There was so much reconnection to the 48th dimension, the 36th dimension, the dark matter template being able to come in from Divine Mother, especially. Holy Father hasn't come in until 2024. But in 2021, Divine Mother really started coming in with her dark matter template and rewriting the elemental realms to bring more of our organic timelines online. So this was a huge event during that conjunction. I should know my date. Let's see if I can look it up. Um, and a lot of my information is from my Galactic Community Energetic Synthesis with Lisa Renee. She's the one that makes sense of all the things that go on in my body. my mind, all the things that I channel forth and don't know what I'm really saying or what's really happening. She nails down all the details. So this big alignment, I believe it was December of 2021. But let's go back to October of 2021 because that was a very important up step forward. Also, in October of 2021, the solar magi, and I have this magenta shawl behind me hanging, and that's the color, especially on that side. This side's a little faded and weird, but this side, think of the most vivid magenta. Well, these are the solar magi kings that are the emissaries of the divine masculine. And their entire solar magi template was anchored into the earth in October of 2021. And this was a beautiful process. I myself was building out the architecture to help bring this in. It's crazy. I was doing all these multimedia things, thinking I was creating Zoom concerts, and I was learning the audio and the video and the slideshow. And I had my whole room set up, and I was going to do jazz and musical theater. And I made this rainbow spoke of all the elements of the music I wanted to bring, the videos, the slideshows, and it was this kind of a complex matrix. Little did I know I wasn't going to do concerts. It was all about building out this complex clock shield template that would enable the rainbow spectrum of this thing with all its varying diversity that would actually be the transport vessel for the solar magi shield coming to the planet. My life is never about what it seems like on the surface. Like, never. I mean, really, never. So this happened in October. Then in December, we had this beautiful planetary alignment with the God worlds. And moving us into January of 2022, it was huge. This is when Archangel Ezekiel started being rescued from where he was stapled to the grid in the metagalactic core. The metagalactic core is an 8th-dimensional core in the center of the Milky Way galaxy, where the negative aliens have had most of their control base has been 8th-dimensional metagalactic core. And Ezekiel was trapped in there. He was stapled and crucified and suffering. I mean, incredibly. It was crazy. So the Guardians and our group, Energetic Synthesis, went down and lifted Ezekiel out of the 8th-dimensional metagalactic core and restored him to his position where he belongs, which is, a 12th-dimensional Christed avatar being, ascended master, archangelic masculine. And earlier we had rescued Uriel from being stapled on Saturn. And as they say that Saturn's rings comes from Uriel's intestines being gutted. So these archangels being tortured, Zadkiel on Jupiter, who we rescued quite a bit earlier, but Ezekiel was a big connection to the rod function. Now, the rod function is the masculine function on the planet, and it's the horizontal grid. The staff function is the vertical grid. So we know rod and staff, their union of the sacred marriage of rod and staff is what creates resurrection. So there has been, from the Christed Templar embodying guardians like myself and others, we've been working on both the rod and the staff. If you followed some of these videos, you'll see my 2016 video of my trip to Kauai, where I facilitated and helped out with the changing of the staff position by pulling out massive things in the metagalactic core that was blocking the staff from aligning with the higher self in Andromeda. So the Earth's higher self is in Andromeda. And so Andromeda galaxy is the major host of Earth's ascension. So when the poles align into Andromeda, they're aligning toward the Earth's return to her divine blueprint as a planet of light, as a planet of unity. So this happened in 2016, but we didn't start really getting our hands on the rod function in the grid. We really got our hands on it through Ezekiel, because he was the major solar king dragon that was affecting the architecture of the earth. So once we started working, freeing Ezekiel, it was huge. We started accessing the solar masculine at 3 levels. At the earth, it's solar Michael. At I remember this. 369, dimensions 369 are where the rod is installed. So dimension 3, we had solar Christ Michael. Dimension 6, we had solar Christ, so Metatron Melchizedek. Yeah, so the 3 layers is 369. Michael, Metatron, Melchizedek. Wonder if it could be Michael Melchizedek Metatron. I don't know exactly, but the solar Christ masculine contains those 3 archangels. And Archangel Ezekiel is also a huge part of the healing of that rod, which enables us to have access to freeing all the trapped archangelic masculines as we heal that rod. So it was really a liberation effort for the archangelic masculine in 2022. And the first to be freed was Ezekiel. Huge stuff. You can read all about this at the ascensionglossary.com. So in 2022 was a powerful year. We started to uncover the wounding of the sapphire feminine in July of 2022. So we did a lot of healing of the yin organs. And because what was done to the sapphire feminine by the Antichrist, by the negative aliens, was so intense. And we started looking at that wounding and really going into the sapphire feminine in July of 2022. And in October of 2022 was really the cloak of the Divine Mother returning to the earth. And the cloak of the Divine Mother is the starry night. It's a velvet black sky filled with radiant silver stars, the brightest stars. Vincent van Gogh was early in whenever his life was 1600s, I think, 1800s. My dates are horrible, but he was an extension of Divine Mother's Cathara um, grid. He was an ancient Divine Mother emissary. He painted the starry night sky, and he also painted the iris. And the iris started coming in, I think this was 2023, last year, October, if I had to guess. The iris is what builds out and heals everything in the sexual organs for men and women, especially in the women's womb. All of the rape, the torture, the horrors in the feminine womb being healed by this iris. And he painted the iris, so he knew the sacred geometry of the return of this violet indigo iris and what this would mean for the healing of everything, right? And he talks even in his song, and Don McLean in his song Starry Starry Night, right? Fire, plasma, he talked about blazing flowers that brightly blaze. Well, this is the return of the liquid plasma, of the fire, water, ether that is our light body in its divine blueprint. It's like a field of rainbow flowers, starting with roses, just plasma roses blossoming. So much in that beautiful song of Starry, Starry Night. Don McLean really connected to Vincent's soul and to the Cathara grid and the return of the plasma flowering. So just so you guys can watch this sort of in piecemeal, I'm going to make this a part 1, and then I'll go on to make part 2 in just a minute. So we're gonna stop this kind of at October of 2022 when Divine Mother's Starry Night Sky came in. All right.